designer? Are you ready to start making all of your own patterns, or at least a few of them? Put those ideas you have onto paper and maybe turn them into fabric at some point? Well, we're going to talk about pattern making today. I'm going to show you the things that you need to start designing and making your own patterns. So I'm going to turn the camera around, top down, and we'll get started. Let's talk about pattern making. These are little slopers that I've just printed off on my printer, and you can get them too. We're working in half scale because half scale is a great way to try out a pattern without using a lot of fabric or paper, etc. So it's a good sample way of doing it. So these are little half scale slopers. A sloper is a pattern, a basic pattern, no extra ease and no seam allowance. So that's what these are. You can buy slopers in your size also and alter them, but we're going to work with half scale for now, just as we're learning. I have put a link to where you can print these out for free. These are from Iowa State University. They have a PDF, and I'll leave a link to that for you on my blog and also below in the description, so you can print these out. So once you get these nice little half-scale slopers, and there's more than this, and I would recommend doing the sleeve too at some point, but for now, let's start with the front and back bodice. Do the front bodice with the 2 darts, the back bodice, and then the front and back skirt. Once you've printed these, it's best to either trace these onto poster board, or if you have a printer that will do it, you can print them out on cardstock like I've done. So here's one that I've cut out, and it already has all of our markings that we need. Where the little X for bust point is, you want to take a thumbtack and poke it right through that hole. That's really an important little thing, so we'll make sure and do that. Here's the ones that I printed that I haven't cut out yet, and what I did is I printed the fronts pink and I printed the backs purple. You can make them all the same color, you can do whatever you want, they're your patterns. So print off a set of these. Other things that are very helpful when you're making patterns are, you want lots of colors of pens, pencils, markers, that sort of thing, and something that won't necessarily bleed through. I like a nice felt tip pen. I usually work with red, blue, and black. It doesn't really matter. The black is always what I use as my final outline when I've traced off my seam allowances. Red are my alterations, and blue is usually just like the original, what I started with. But it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. Make it how you like it. You're the designer. So get you some colored pens or pencils. You will need pattern paper. So this is examination table paper. It comes in lots of different ways. This is almost feels like an interfacing fabric, and you can see through it so that when you're working with your pattern, like this one, see this I can trace off, but you can also lay it on top and see through it. The reason, speaking of pattern paper, the reason we trace it off in something heavy is because you want to be able to, and I'm just going to move my little dress form here, you want to be able to trace around this over and over and over again. So it's easier to trace with a template like this than it is to lay it underneath and get it perfect. This is, if you're going to be making lots of patterns, go ahead and take the few extra minutes it takes to make your slopers and something a little heavier so that you can just trace it. Now let's talk about rulers. If you've seen my videos before, you've seen this ruler. Barely, because it's almost invisible, but this is a heavy duty, it's over an 1/8 inch thick. It has a little knob to hold it by, and you can see through it, and this is wonderful for pattern making and alteration. So I use this ruler all the time, and I think you can get it at Joann's, Hobby Lobby, places like that. However, you can get a whole set of pattern making type rulers, designing rulers. I'm just going to pull these over here so you can see these. All right, so look at all of these rulers. And they're clear. These are thinner. They're a little hard to pick up. So this is what I do. This is my hip curve. Love a hip curve. It's real important. I know it's hard to see. Let me move these out of the way, because the more things in the frame, the harder to see this. So this is the hip curve, and I have taken a suction cup, a ring suction cup. You can get suction cups with hooks and all different things. I like these with the ring. And I put that on there, and that's my handle. So I can pick it up and move it. It makes it easy to find. I don't have to try and get my nails underneath to lift it up. And you can actually even hang it by that if you needed to. But this is a great little thing. So here's my packet of different sized suction cups. Put a great big one on the variform curve because it would take it. And then on some of these smaller ones, I have smaller suction cups, and it just makes it so much easier to pick it up and move with that little suction cup on it. So if you get rulers that don't have their own little knobby handle like this one does, get you some little clear suction cups, especially the ring ones, and stick on it. So I haven't done it to all of them, but I'm going to stick on this one right here. And they're movable. So let's say you stick it on somewhere and you don't like where you stuck it. It's easy to move it. And I can still see through that for marking. So love the little suction cups. So that's my fun little tip of the day when you're working with these sort of things. Now, once you put a suction cup on it, they don't lay real flat on top of each other, but I don't care about that as much. I'm going to make a little case to hold all of these in. These are new. I've had this one, and I have a great big metal hip curve that I love. Here, this great big metal hip curve. I love it. It's great. And these are a lot more expensive when you go with these nice big metal curves, but you can iron over the metal ones. But these are great for just working on the paper. So here's a whole set. This whole set came from Amazon. All of these were in it, minus the suction cups, which I ordered separately. So I'll make sure and leave a link to that. I don't get anything. I'm not an affiliate with Amazon. I don't get anything if you order from Amazon. I'm just trying to make it easy for you. So there's all of those fun rulers. I like to sketch out what I'm doing on little pieces of paper. This is just sketch paper. If you struggle with art, like art's not your thing, you've got all the ideas, but drawing the body is difficult. Look at this great thing that I found. And I went looking for this just for you guys. For those of you who haven't had to take fashion classes or have not taken art classes and have not had to do an 8 or 10 head fashion figure, look what they make. So this is what it looks like. This is a little humanoid French curve template rulers. And what it is they're little body pieces. So they have, can you see it better on the white? So there's that one that has the legs. So you could do shorts, you can do pants, you can do a lot of things about. This one's more like a dress form shape. But again, nice. And these are templates, so you can trace around them. They're nice and sturdy. Here is sort of like just a bodice top. So if you're making schematic drawings where you're trying to show exactly where seams are going to go or pockets or that sort of thing, these are very nice little pieces for that. And then here's another one that could be suit coat. Just gives you a little help. Now, let's say you don't want to invest in this. You're just starting out, you have lots of ideas. How I started as a kid is I used fashion paper dolls. So like the Erte paper dolls, the Marlene Dietrich paper doll, or Marilyn Monroe, whatever. I would take the paper doll herself and use her just like this. I trace around her body and then draw clothes on her. And I mean, young, 6 or 7 is when I started doing that. And I did that all the way into college. If I wanted an interesting shape or form, or I wanted her to be in a certain pose and I was struggling with it, I go back and find my paper doll collection and use the paper doll to trace around. It works great. So that's another option for drawing out your designs. So let's say, here we are, and I'm going to draw out a design that I've been thinking of. Now I've got a little piece of paper and a big person here, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to just say I want to do a top. So I'm not even going to worry about doing the whole body necessarily. Let's see how easy this is to trace around. Alright, so there's my body, and off the shoulder, and it's going to have a big flounce at the top, and no sleeve, and it's going to have pleats. Pleats are going to come down into the bust line. It's going to have some fitting here, and then it's going to have a peplum. You can see how easy that is, and then if you want to, you can add a little fullness to the bust lines. It makes it easy for you. But then once you've got your little sketch, now I can take this and I can say, okay, I'm ready to start making my pattern. I will trace off my bodice front. Now, if you are truly designing something, you need to draw every part. So this is the front, but I need to draw back. What do I expect my back to look like? I'm doing the reverse image, so here's the back with my little fittings, and it's got to have a zipper somewhere. So I'm going to say I want a little zipper under here. That's my zipper. Now, if I were really going to be doing this, I would spend a lot more time on it and make it really pretty, but you can see how we're doing it. All right, so now I have my front and my back, label it, and then I can start thinking about the important things. Things like, I want a side zipper. I'm going to do darts, not princess lines. I want it one shoulder, and I want that on the right. Because I'm looking down at this. If this were on the body, that's the right shoulder. So now I've got my little bullet points to help me when I go to do my pattern. They even show you on here, give you some great ideas for drawing and sketching and how to use their little templates. So this is a great little tool. I really, really, really like it. And compared to, so here's a fast sketch I did a few minutes ago. You can see how compared, this is a more realistic body too. But for your technical drawing, this will work great. So these are all the tools you can get. If you are going to get the bare basics, print these off for free in paper. Get you some tissue paper, like wrapping tissue paper if you don't want to order something like this. You can get tracing paper on the roll, but it's quite expensive at places like Hobby Lobby or like a Triangle Art Supply. Do you have Triangle Art Supplies where you are? The other thing that's very important is you need tape. If you have to spend money on one thing, get tape with get a tape dispenser. It is so hard when you've been slashing and spreading and swinging and you're holding your pattern and then you have to let go of it to peel your tape off, arrange everything back, and then tape it. You can hold, you can peel, you can tape. It makes so much life so much better. So get a tape dispenser, if for nothing else than for pattern making. And make sure you have paper scissors, good sharp paper scissors. I actually have two pair. I have a big pair like this, and then I have a little tiny pair that I left on my cutting table so that I can do really fine things, but you want some good sharp scissors.